What's up residents, Alistair back once again. Welcome back to your Dangerville home. Today we have some pretty exciting and revealing news about Godzilla vs Kong. And we have some good news and some sad news, with the good news being some new Godzilla vs Kong figures were revealed that give us a look into how the fight might play out, but also some pretty sad news for you collectors of everything Godzilla. More on that in a second. But first, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, where we share everything from Godzilla to Jurassic Park, with news posted before we even make a video about it. Now, let's get to some monster news. Welcome back. So many of you have seen the new artwork for Godzilla vs Kong that was recently revealed, which is, without a doubt, incredible. This reminds me of the more natural style of Godzilla 2014 and Skull Island, with more earthy colours, something that we can attribute to real life. So I hope it follows through with this stylistic choice. But what you might not know is that this picture is attached to the box art of a long line of new Godzilla figures, this time around being produced by Playmates, who you might recognise for recently going through and reproducing Bandai's Godzilla figures, but cheaper looking. And whilst these products seem rushed and much less detailed, don't let it demonize our outlook on the entire company, because their upcoming Godzilla vs Kong line does look promising. Now, Jacob and I have been wanting to talk about these figures for months now. They were shown off at an event behind closed doors, but some attendants managed to snap some sneaky photos of them, which obviously was not allowed. We made sure to not make videos about them since they featured heavy spoilers, but thankfully they've finally officially given us a glimpse of what's to come, with figures that really don't spoil the film. These first 3 figures were revealed just this week, and whilst they don't include any spoilers, I'll issue a warning for one specific thing that you may not want to know about, but it really has no bearing on the story, so let's take a look at the new Godzilla vs Kong figures. First up, we have Giant Kong. This figure stands at a height of 11 inches tall and appears to have 9 points of articulation: the head, arms, hands, legs, and feet. So whilst this figure isn't the most articulated, it's certainly pretty to look at. I mean, look at that beard, what a beautiful ape. He looks like the kind of person that lives in a log cabin in the middle of nowhere and chops wood for a living. You wouldn't want to mess with him. He also has 3 large scars on his chest, most likely from his battle with Rimarak, the large skullcrawler. I like the way this figure looks. It looks like the kind of thing I'd have gotten when I was a kid, kind of like the classic Beast Wars figures. But now you mention it, he does sort of look like a certain Transformer I can't quite put my finger on. The name Giant Kong has no relation to the film, it's just in reference to the fact that this is one of the larger figures Playmates has to offer. Either way, I'm excited to pick up this figure, as well as this next figure. So we have a Giant Kong, so it only makes sense to have a Giant Godzilla to accompany it. This figure stands at 11 inches tall, like Giant Kong, and appears to feature 6 points of articulation: the hands, legs, and feet. The figure shows us that it will be retaining most of the features we saw in King of the Monsters, but with some potential small changes. His skin on the figure appears to be blue tinted, which may very well just be so the toy can stand out from the almost completely black Kong figure. His dorsal plates glow blue, much like he did in King of the Monsters, which makes the figure look nicely dynamic, and the dorsal plates might be a little sharper, like some of the concept art has showcased. Although this might not be the case, and it could just be the figure. The paint job is nicely detailed with eyes and individual teeth points, with black dry brushed over the scales to add some texture. This figure should go nicely with the Kong figure and will appeal to both kids and 45-year-old collectors. But since the changes are so minute, if you already have a large King of the Monsters Godzilla figure, it's safe to say you're not missing out on much if you don't get this one. Right, for this next figure there may be a small spoiler, but it has nothing to do with the plot of the film, but it asks some interesting questions as to how Godzilla and Kong's fight might play out. So, here's a spoiler warning. This Kong figure stands at a height of 6 inches and features a greater amount of articulation, with 11 movable joints. And he comes with bonus features, battle damage, and a battle axe. Yes, you heard that right, Kong has an axe. Yep, now he truly is a lumberjack living out in the woods. The figure is notably less detailed due to the figure being smaller, but he seems to have a nicer paint job, with some patches of brown and black, with his mouth and eyes being nicely painted. A large chunk of flesh comes off, revealing the gruesome muscular tissue beneath, clearly wounds sustained in his fight against Godzilla, which reminds me of those old Jurassic Park battle damage figures I used to own, which I loved, although they freaked me out a little bit, especially the Allosaurus surgery set. And of course he has one hand open so he can hold his mighty battle axe. And this axe tells us a lot about the film, but I'm going to save that information for another video coming soon. So subscribe and stomp that notification button so you don't miss out on that. The giant figures will be listed at a very reasonable price of $20, and although no price was mentioned for the 6-inch Kong figure, we can assume it'll be lower than $20 thanks to the smaller amount of plastic being used. But it could still equate to $20 since it's a more articulated figure. And if that's the case, that's still a very good price for what it is. So that's what we have on the new line of Playmates figures coming for Godzilla vs. Kong. Though we do have some sad news for fans of the more detailed Godzilla figures from Neca. They have announced that they will stop producing new Godzilla figures and that the final figures they'll be releasing are the redistributed 1989 and 2003 Godzilla figures, which merely feature improved paintwork and a new box. This means that, as far as we know, they will not be producing Godzilla vs. Kong Neca figures, which means the seat for detailed but affordable Godzilla figures is now empty. Hopefully
Playmates
will make a detailed line of figures to make up for Neca dropping out, although, based on their focus on affordable toys, I doubt it. Maybe Neca will be granted a license when we grow closer to the release of Godzilla vs. Kong, but for now, we'll just have to wait and see. These figures appear to give us an interesting look into what Godzilla vs. Kong may be like, and whilst they do seem to be aiming for a more younger demographic, it doesn't mean collectors of all ages can't find a reason to add them to their collection. I'll certainly be picking up the Battle Axe Kong because that's just awesome. But what do you guys think of these figures? Let us know in the comment section down below. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, because if you do, I'll personally give you a high five. Don't forget to check out our store over on Teespring for all sorts of shirts, vests, jumpers and phone cases, and many other items that can suit your style. I've been Alistair, and we'll see you residents in the next one.